Okay, here is my test video for my airbrush tutorial. Going to cover a few things here. First off, my name is Byron, and thanks for watching right off the bat. We're going to do just a quick tutorial here. We're going to do like what you should set your airbrush compressor PSI at. For general usage, I do between 25 and 30 PSI. That usually will pump out any kind of paint you've got in there as long as it's thinned out properly. I usually crank it up to about 40 to clean the airbrush out. That'll get any crap that's in the tube near the needle. It'll help get that out of there. I'm going to go over trigger pull and how you get different lines and dots and large areas, small areas. Paint consistency, we're going to go over how to mix your paint properly. You want to get it to the consistency of like whole milk, to where it runs down the inside of the bottle or the glass or the cup or whatever you're mixing it in, but it doesn't run really freely, you know. It's kind of like a practice makes adequate kind of thing. I'm going to go over a zenithal highlighting, and I'm going to go with a white over a gray primer, and then base coating, detailing, highlighting, and then cleaning your airbrush, and then proper care. So right off the bat, I'm going to get my gloves on because I don't like to get paint on my hands. I've got a couple of miniatures here I'm going to practice on. I've got these that I 3D printed off my printer, and they're I forget the manufacturer, but I got them off My Mini Factory. It's like some alien race. It's supposed to be like Tyranids. They got 4 eyes. That's about the only thing that sets them apart from Tyranids. I'm going to finish base coating this Black Widow, which is actually going to be a White Widow for me. That's going to look like a raw fleshy color. I'm going to finish airbrushing that, and maybe get on some other stuff. We'll see. Anyway, so PSI, I'm set at right 25 right now. My first color for these aliens, I'm going to use this Alien Purple from Vallejo Model Air Series. These paints are great right out of the bottle. I give them a good shake. Usually I put agitators in here, but I'm all out. I gave them to my nephew because he's just starting out, so I wanted to hook him up. But a good shake is all you need. I already got my airbrush set up. I'm using a Badger Patriot 105. You can see she's got some wear and tear on her. I've had her for a long time, many moons. But she still works good, and I clean her out regularly, so never fails, but now it'll probably fail on me, right? So I'm going to just go straight out of the bottle, right into the paint cup here. And I'm just going to do a little bit here on this guy to show you just quick little, I'll show you on this paper towel, like trigger pull. First I'll get whatever cleaner I've got out of there. So I got all my cleaner out. So basically, any kind of pressure, you're going to get everything all at once. So you're going to get air and paint. Just right there, you see I'm just pulling the trigger just a tad, nothing's coming out. And then as you slowly pull back, you know, you'll get a little bit more, and then bam. You know, full trigger pull is going to give you full paint. This is just basically something you got to try it out to see just how it works for you. Some guys like to blast their minis with paint. I like to do light coats, as what's his name says. I'm not going to name his name, but 2 thin coats. So we're going to do this guy here first. Let me get my spider out of the way so I don't get any overspray on her. So I'll just do basic trigger pulling, and you'll see like the coats start to appear on the paint here on the mini here. And some guys like to do like a quick pull of the trigger, but that you don't have much control with that. Like they'll just pump. So basic thing with the airbrush is just nice, even pull. Keep your finger nice and even where it's at on the trigger, and you'll see the paint just start to appear on your subject. This is just a quick little thing to show you just how the paint can go on. You'll notice, see it's starting to dry already. That's because I'm doing a really light coat. It'll dry quicker, thus giving you faster completion times. Light paint equals fast dry. Heavy paint, you're going to wait a while for your next coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base coat this guy really quick. And I'm just going to get a nice coat on him, and then I want to show you like a zenithal highlight. And instead of using white on gray, which I'll show you on the next miniature, I'm just going to do a zenithal of a lighter purple over this darker lavender purple-ish. So we're going to cover him, just nice and even coverage here. I'm not worried about the base because I'm going to do something with the base. I haven't figured it out yet. So here we go. Do under the belly, and you kind of got to get in there and get tricky with the nooks and crannies sometimes. But for the most part, that's that. That's my coat. And you'll see, I mean, it's drying right now. So it'll be ready for the zenithal highlight within minutes. Okay, so we did him. I got a little bit of paint left in there, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to use my cleaner. This is airbrush cleaner from Medea. I got a bottle of it here. It's pretty good stuff. It's almost identical to the Vallejo brand, but it's twice as cheap, and you get twice as much. So I buy it in the big bottles like this off Amazon. So I'm going to put some of the cleaner in here, and I like to almost fill it up. And then I'll take a paintbrush and kind of wipe down the insides of my cup just to get all that paint mixed into the cleaner. Have a cup of water handy, you know, to rinse off your paintbrush. Now, as far as blasting out this excess paint and thinner, you can blow it into a towel. You can blow it into the air, which you don't want to breathe. I should be wearing a respirator, but I want to be able to talk to you guys, so I'm leaving that off right now. So you can buy this, which is basically called a cleaning station, airbrush cleaning station. It's about 12 bucks off Amazon. You plug your airbrush into that little hole, and everything that comes out of it blasts inside and fills up the canister. See, there's almost virtually, you can see just a little bit of overspray coming out the vent, but for the most part, everything stays inside. So it's pretty safe. I mean, you could use this indoors in your dining room or whatever. So there we go, we're nice and cleaned out. I got a little bit of residue. I'm not worried about that because I'm going on with another purple color anyways. So I've got this lighter lavender here, and I should be going over paint consistency with you, but I'm using these ones straight out of the bottle, so I'll go over consistency in a second. I just want to show you a quick zenithal. What zenithal means is basically you're taking a color lighter than the first. Usually it's a white over a gray primer or a white over a black primer, and you're just shooting straight down over the model. Like, just go straight above it, like straight down the back, straight down the arms. And you don't want to go under the belly or anything because you want those shadows to still stay there, and the white to show on all the surfaces of the highest parts of the model, like muscles and spikes and plates and whatnot. So I'll show you a zenithal on this guy, and hopefully it'll show up. This is a light lavender, and this highlight color is even lighter, so we'll see. But he's 90% dry, so I'm not worried about the zenithal mixing with it. So I'll show you right here. We just go, well, let's do a test run here. There's my base color. Okay, so we do a zenithal straight down, and this you can put on a little heavier. It depends on your desire for how bright you want the zenithal to be. So I'm just kind of going over it from the top down, and you can kind of see how it's brighter on top and the belly is dark. That's zenithal. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of practice. You can get it down. Some guys like to charge an arm and a leg for showing you how to do zenithal, and it's like, dude, you just do it and you're ready to rock. So that's a zenithal for you. I'll show you white on the other guy here because it'll be easier to see. So again, I fill my airbrush with my cleaner, take my paintbrush, scrape the insides, rinse my paintbrush, off to the cleaning station. And I recommend wearing gloves, respirator, of course, with disposable filters on it. You probably won't change the filters out, but maybe once, twice a year. The gloves especially, unless you like paint all over your hands. So we're cleaned out there, ready to rock. Okay, so let's mix up some paint and show you paint consistency. So I'm just going to take your average Joe paint here. I'll take some yellow. This is this is yellow by Tamiya, and it's just a flat yellow. I'll give you a quick note. Tamiya colors love the airbrush. You thin them out with Tamiya thinner, which is just basically alcohol, and they flow so nice. Couple drops of flow improver, and they cover well. They look great. They're vibrant. I use them for everything. So we've got our bottle of Tamiya here. I'll just do a quick little pour some paint in there. I don't need any yellow, but I'll show you yellow on something else. And then I'll use my Tamiya lacquer thinner, which is, like I said, just basically alcohol. And I use one of these pipettes. Plastic pipettes are disposable. You can get a pack of them from Amazon for like 10 bucks. Now, paint consistency. I want to go like the consistency of like whole milk. So right now, you can see the paint kind of, it flows off the edge of the inside of the cup, but it still stays there. I want to give it a couple drops of thinner. Usually it's about a, I want to say it's about a 75-25. You know, 75% paint, 25% thinner, or water. You can use water too, as long as you use flow improver. If you're using straight water, you got to use flow improver. Okay, now I got it on my brush. I'm going to test it. See if it'll drip. Okay, see how it kind of flows down the inside of the cup? I don't know if you can see that. Let me get this closer. We'll see if this drips and you can see. Okay, that's perfect. See how it drips and it holds the color on the edge of the cup? That's how you want it. If it's running down and you can see a line, an outline around the paint on the edge of the cup, it's too thin. Add some more paint. And if it's too thick, add more thinner. So, like I said, about a 25-75 ratio, 75% paint, 25% thinner. And then we'll go ahead and pour this into the airbrush. And I'll just show you a test real quick on something like this paper towel, I guess, because I don't have anything handy. I didn't prepare it very well. So here we go. We're just going to spray out the purple. It's kind of brown still. And then bam, you get vibrant yellow. And you can see I can do like a, here we'll do it on the back of this. You can get like a nice pencil line. And let me put this underneath the camera. That's even better. You see the nice pencil line you can get? Or you can blast it and you'll get a ton of paint. Do I have anything I can paint yellow? Not really. So anyways, so that's paint consistency. Like I said, 75-25 paint to thinner. You'll have to play around with it depending on different paints. Some paints, they thin out differently. Some paints are super thin right away, like right off the bat. So you don't need to thin them that much. Like these Vallejo Air Series paints, they're super thin, ready to go. Right out of the bottle. And you see here, see how my airbrush is kind of leaking right here on the tip here? Don't fret about that. I mean, that's kind of normal. Sometimes if it's super, super thin, it'll seep through the threads and just kind of leak out. It's when it starts to do like a lot of air bubbles is when you're going to start having problems with flow, because it means the needle and the tip are blocked. If you're getting air bubbles out of the cup or air bubbles around the nozzle. So let me just clean my airbrush real quick. Zenithal, paint consistency, trigger pull. We'll get the yellow paint out of there. Should be good to go for the next coat. So as my Zenithal is drying on that beast, I'm going to base coat some other miniatures here. This is another color by Vallejo Model Air, and it's just a, it's called Port Stone, but it makes a great skin color, like a zombie type of skin color. I'm using it on the Widow, and when I airbrush on the washes with a little bit of flow improver in them, they make great tints. So I'm going to tint this to look like raw flesh, and then I'll gloss coat the spider itself to make it look like it's really glistening and nasty looking. So I'm going to get some of this port stone shook up here, and we'll get some of this in the airbrush here. Get a little bit in there. A little goes a long way with the airbrush. You don't need to fill your cup every time. Like you can see here, I only have a little bit of paint down in the bottom. Just start off small. Smaller is better because it's hard to get it back in the dropper bottles. And it becomes very costly if you start blasting through paint that you're not using. So I've got my color. I'm going to spray a test run out here on the paper towel. We're good to go. And now I'm just going to finish coating all the legs here, which I didn't do very well in my first pass. We'll get this spider coated here, all nice and nasty skin color looking. Zombie flesh. Because I'm down with the zombies. I don't know about you guys, but I love painting zombies. Anything Nurgle, like Plague Marines or any of that stuff. I love that shit. Stuff. Okay, so he's got his base coat on. I just needed to touch it up. That's ready to rock. And see, I still have paint in the bottom. I'm just going to kind of get rid of it. Wipe off my airbrush cup. And again, you don't have to clean your airbrush in between every different color you're using. I do, just because sometimes you'll get like a little drop of that paint can mix in with your other paint and muddy it up. But it's strictly your preference. You can go straight from color to color to color. I recommend rinsing it out every time, which you'll blast through cleaner, but at least you'll have a nice, clean, reliable airbrush. So, got him base coated. Let's see, is there any like little tricks? Let me get this rest of this paint out of the brush. Paint consistency, like milk. Zenithal, you saw that. It's just straight down on top of the model, like the sun hitting it from the top. It'll only show brightness on top and leave the shadows underneath. Let's see. Let's do a Zenithal white over gray primer on this guy, because that'll kind of give you a better idea of what the Zenithal looks like. And this is another color by Tamiya. It's just flat white, and I've already pre-mixed this with thinner, and I just mix it up right in the bottle because this is only being used for the airbrush, not for brushing. So it's ready to rock right out of the bottle. So I'll just shake it up, and we should be good to go. I'll pour just a little bit in here. Doesn't take much. I'll cap that over later when I got two hands to use. Spray out, just get your spray started. See how it's a little dark from that color before? Now it's white. Okay, we're ready to rock. Now again, straight down from the top. And we just lightly do it. You can see here it's starting to show up on the top here. And it just depends on trigger pull. The more you pull back on the trigger, the more paint you're going to get. So I'll just go down this guy's arms, over his thigh, over his other meaty thigh, over his plates, shoulders. I will hit like the sides of his face just a tad to give his eyes some drop shadow. And the more you put it on, the brighter it'll get. Of course, it's white, so duh. That's a no-brainer. Okay, so here's my Zenithal white over a gray primer. Ready to rock. And see it's still gray underneath. That'll help the color or the ink or the wash or whatever you've got coming up next. It'll give it a much more natural look. We'll clean our airbrush out because I like to clean every time. Just give it a little rinse here. A little scrub with the paintbrush. Off to the cleaning station to deposit my airbrush garbage. Once this is cleaned out, I will go over. That's pretty much, I mean, that's a lot of the basics for airbrushing. I mean, honestly, It's not rocket science. Once you start playing around with your airbrush, you're going to see what works, what doesn't work for you. PSIs, like I said, you can go down as low as like 15 for up close detail work, like right up against your subject, because you don't want to have a lot of air because it's going to blast paint out and splatter everywhere. So about 15 is the minimum I would go, because then you're going to have problems with paint flow. But you can get in so tight and do like little pencil line details. You can airbrush highlights on shoulders for Space Marines. I'll do a zenithal on somebody's face, like a little Space Marine face. And then as you pull back, that's when you can give more pressure. And I mean, when you pull back about 6-8 inches and you pull back on your trigger pull, you know, you're going to get like a blast, like a spray can. So yeah, you just want to take it easy, take it slow. They say Rome wasn't built in a day, so I wasn't an airbrush master overnight. So it took me, oh my God, I've been airbrushing for 30 plus years. So that's that. I showed you the zenithal. I showed you the spider. Let me show you how I can tint the color on the spider with a wash real quick. I'm just going to use, the only things I use from GW are their washes. Honestly, I use Vallejo, Model Air, or Tamiya with Tamiya thinner for my airbrush. Again, I use Medea airbrush cleaner. But yeah, the washes, they work great, but you got to put flow improver in your airbrush with this. So these are pretty thin already. So I'm just going to toss some in here. And then I'm going to put a couple of drops of flow improver, which I use Vallejo brand. Just a few drops will do, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drops. And then give it a good mix inside the airbrush. And you'll be ready to rock and roll. So I'll do a test run on this paper towel here. No trigger pull, you can see nothing comes out. Slowly pulling back, and then bam. So we're ready to rock. And I'm basically, with this wash, with the airbrush, I'm going to do like a reverse zenithal. I'm going to try and shoot up from the bottom, which is impossible because he's on his base now, but I'm going to do my best. So I'm just going to spray this around the whole belly here. Oop, a little lighter because it's going on kind of thick. It's the washes really blast out of the airbrush pretty quick, so you got to be careful. So I'll do it on the legs, all around the base of the belly here, make it look all nasty and muddy. And sometimes you'll see the wash will start to like slow down and not come out. Just give it a quick little boom, all the way full trigger pull, and that'll blast out any little chunks or nibbits that are stuck in there. I usually filter it before I put it in my airbrush, but just for ease of showing you guys, a lot of these paints should be good to go right out of the bottle instead of filtering them. I use automotive paint filters. You can get them off Amazon as well. And they're good, especially if you're mixing up regular brush colors, like regular paint out of the bottle, and then putting in some flow improver and some thinner. But those paints are notorious for having clumps in them. So you're going to want to definitely, like, see, this is slowing down. I'm just going to give it a blast, and it goes through. So we'll give it a nice wash along the bottom here. And I'm not worried about the rocks or the spider sacks or any of that stuff, because I'm gonna do all that later. So you can kind of see, I mean, the light's kind of bright in here, but you can see just the dark wash, I should say, around the bottom of the belly and the head. This is a cool miniature. It's got like an upside down body right above the head. It's pretty disgusting. But I love it. It's very Kingdom Death. This is from Bestiarum Miniatures. They got some great miniatures. I've been printing them out on my printer. Yeah, once that wash dries, it'll look nice and smooth. Let's see, I'm going to try and wrap this up. I've still got some of this left. I'm just going to pour it, or just blast it into my, cleaner station. You can hear when it's all done, and then I'm going to clean it out really good. A clean airbrush, as long as you keep it clean, it'll be virtually trouble-free. I can't vouch for different brands. I use Badgers. I use Master airbrushes because they're super cheap, and when they do gum up, they're impossible to clean out. But you just buy a new one because they're only like 20 bucks. You can get those off of eBay or a company called TCP Global. They're over here on the West Coast in Miramar in San Diego, and they have an eBay store as well, TCP Global, and I get a lot of Master airbrush stuff from them. All right, airbrush is clean. I'm going to turn off my compressor and blast out whatever air I've got left. Get it out of the pipe. And I'm going to disconnect and just go over the basics with the airbrush with you. It's a dual action, which means trigger pull is going to give you paint and air. You shouldn't really have to take it apart. If you have to, you'll have a manual. They're super simple to disassemble, and just cleaning is really good as long as you just take care with the tip. When you're airbrushing and you're doing your trigger pull and you're getting ready to release, never let the trigger snap back into the closed position, because it can wear out the tip at the needle and you'll start to have a bigger flow. When you just want to have nice detail work, your tip will be ruined, so you have to get a new nozzle. So when you do your trigger pull, do nice and smooth pulls on it. Like I said, all the way is going to blast like a spray can, and just go gradually down to a pinpoint. You can draw pencil lines with these things. This is a I think this is a 0.3 tip on here. 0.5s are good, 0.2. Any of those are good for general use and detail work. Like I said, I use Badger, Master. I have a Posh. I have an Iwata, but it gummed up on me years ago and I never got around to cleaning it out. But that's basically it. I mean, you can get these little mixing cups. Again, I get a lot of stuff off Amazon because it's super cheap. But mixing cups are just little medicine cups, and you get like 100 of them for like 12 or 15 bucks. You can buy these little teeny tiny mixing jars with lids if you have a color that you want to keep, that you've mixed up a custom color. Like I said, I use Vallejo Model Air. They're just great colors right out of the bottle. A good shake. Agitators are good for them, which is just a little ball bearing. Make sure they're stainless steel, otherwise they'll rust inside the paint and color your paint, so you don't want that. Again, you can get those off of Amazon. What else can I tell you guys? That's basically it. Take care of your airbrush. It'll take care of you. And if you guys have any questions, hit me up on Discord at Byron Gray, and I'll answer any questions you guys got. So thanks very much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Keep on painting.